course really need your priority, or else it's going to be tough. But don't worry, you guys can crack it if you're proactive. So basically, you need to form a group that consists of minimum of 2 to maximum of 3 people. But if any of the students want to work alone individually, then they have to send me a request email with the strong points to defend why you want to work uh, by yourself. And if reasons are good, then I definitely permit to work by yourself. Uh, but this, I don't recommend it to work by yourself because as the course progress, the load probably would get more. So it's better to find people. And if you couldn't, then don't worry. I'll try to find a group for you. So that's the point. And yeah, so once you form group by yourself, then please enter your group in the Excel sheet that's given the link here. And while forming the group, you should make sure you form the group from students who are in section 1, 3, or 9, because those are the only section that I'm responsible for. So please avoid the sections like 256 or 478. Mm, it's always better if you find students from your section itself, because that's easy on you as well as for me. So on the demo weeks, it will be easy for you guys as well, because if your other friend is from the different section, and if I ask something, the work done by the other student, then if you don't know something, then it probably might be not good. But even if that happens, don't worry, it's okay. If your friend is there in section 3 or 9, you go ahead and form a group. That's still fine. I can understand. And coming to lab schedule, these are all the tentatives. But for sure, lab 1, there will be no change. This is what the deadlines. And for lab 2 and the other labs, probably things might change or things might not change. But we plan in such a way that not to change much. So 90% probably this date what we are going to follow. But if not, if there is any changes, we will definitely make a prior announcement like 2 weeks before, so that you can plan ahead. Anyway, you guys can start doing your planning based on the dates that we have given. Mostly it will be these are the date. For lab 1, so the idea is to release the lab contents 2 weeks prior to the lab deadline. So we don't release any lab content ahead of the time. That's not mentioned in the academic policy. In that, we have to maintain the copyrights and content integrity. So we cannot release the labs ahead. Even if we release, you guys cannot work, because even professor has to explain things in the class, and we also have to give some information. So yeah, so but we definitely give you like 2 weeks of time for each lab, so just like ample amount of time to do your lab successfully. And I request you guys to be proactive. The moment when we release the lab, try to invest at least like 30 to 60 minutes every day, and discuss among your group, and form a discussion platform where you can discuss with the other students as well, so that you guys be intact doing the lab in time as well. So that's more important, because don't even think of submitting the lab late. Don't delay it, because it just grows a stress on you rather than helping you in any way. So be proactive, and if you have any doubts, come into D2's discussion platform, post there, and yeah, for each lab you'll get 2 weeks. We release the lab content every 2 weeks, and this is like common for all the sections. So yeah, that's how it works. And coming to the, yeah, for example, in this case, right? So I'll just take one example for lab 1. For lab 1, so the report due is on Feb 7th, right? So we definitely have to release the lab content for lab 1 on 25th, 24th night, or 25th morning. So you get 2 weeks to work on that, and then you submit the submit it on Feb 7, and your demo will be on the week coming after your deadline, basically during your lab time. So for you guys, every week you will be having the demo on this time, like Monday 5 to 6. I'll tell you the logistics about what's the report, what's the expectation coming to report, code and demos, things like that. So this is how the timelines are. And then coming to, so Leo, let me ask, so till now, do you have any doubts? So all good? Okay. Okay, so lab mark breakdown. In this case, this is where I was telling it's better to form a group. And lab group intention is to associate yourself to discuss among your group and come up with the solutions, and then submit it. So basically, everyone in the group has to understand everything. It's not like three students are there, then you take up the report, I'll take up the coding, the other guy probably will look into compilation or submission or something like that. Don't share the work like that. The guy who works on the report, he should explain everything what's happening to other guys, and the guy who's coding, or he has to explain everything to other guys, or you decide how you want to share the work among yourself. But all three or all two has to be on top of everything when it comes to lab, because uh, there is individual mark as well. I'll come to that later. So when it comes to the lab report, I want it to be original. So when you guys discuss anything among your group members, are with your friends with the other who are in the other groups in any discussion platforms, don't share your code, don't share your report. Just discuss the concept. Just route them to the information platform where you got the information. Don't give your report to your code. Make sure that's a strict um, requirement, because we need to follow the academic integrity. And if any plagiarism is found or any copy in the code is found, then the guy who shared and the team, or the guy who actually copied, both will face the consequences based on the errors and academic integrity policy. I'm sure you guys won't do that, and don't do that. It's not good, right? So yeah, when it comes to the report, try to answer the questions concisely to the point. And if you, as long as you answer the question even in a sentence, you're good. I'll give you the complete marks. My expectation is the report should be original to your group. It should not be copied, and the answer should be to the points. That's all. And when it comes to the code must be clean. No, like uncommented commands left like that. Not maintained well code. Not clean code. It's not good. So follow the standards. Make clean code, and then add comments wherever it's required. It should be like the industry standard. But don't worry on the code. When it comes to code, I don't tax much marks when it comes to the code. I want you to focus more onto the learning algorithm rather than coding, but follow some kind of standards, at least to industry level. So I'll give you the feedback. Since I come from industry background, I do the code review and I give you the feedback. But I don't take off your marks when it comes to coding. Like if something is wrong or something is not good up to the standard, don't worry, I don't take off marks when it comes to the coding. But if you have any if you have done any good coding, then consider it. I probably would give bonus points if you have any lesser score, because I want you to score well when it comes to the lab. 30%, you should aim for 30%. Right. So when it comes to the demo, I individually ask each students to run the code, and I might ask you to change some command and expect the new output. And I might ask what's the change and why the change, something like that. Basically, the code should work when you run it. If it don't run, if any issues are there, other than technical issues were related to internet. So if that's the case, then I'll run the code by myself that you submitted in the D2L. Then if things works, then don't worry, I'll give you complete marks. And I'll form a one-to-one breakout room. In that, I'll ask the question only regarding the algorithm. Basically, you need to understand the algorithm from A to Z, and then you need to understand how to apply this algorithm in the real world scenarios. So you need to come up with your creative ideas, and I'll test you on that. If you answer the low-level details in the algorithm as well, then definitely that's good. I'll give you complete marks. If you be proactive and come up with any new idea and keep proposing new ideas to me, then I still may consider it for bonus points as well. So yeah, when it comes to the submission, there's nothing much expectation. You just have to submit your report as well as code. And yeah, and when it comes to the code, try to module the code. That's what we follow because it's easy to debug. For example, when it comes to name-based classifier, you have to find the posterior probability and likelihoods, right? So then you keep a probability calculation to one particular module and then do scripting to call those function to classify the given data, something like that. You know, you submodule and module and things like that. So it will be easy to debug, and that's the standard that we usually follow. And that obviously changes from company to company, the philosophies that they follow and the paradigms they follow, right? But yeah, so when you do that, you will have multiple MATLAB files, right? So put all those MATLAB files into one folder and name it as code or whatever. But the other one should be bare PDF. That's your report. And zip it all together and rename the folder as group underscore your lab number, your group number underscore lab number. So group number basically, you can find it out from the Excel sheet here. For example, the first group includes these two students. Their group number is 1, right? So yeah, so group and followed by the group number and lab number. I'll finalize the group number and I'll give you a group number detail before the first lab. Don't worry about that. And yeah, when it comes to penalty, if there is any delay, every 24 hours you get minus 20% penalty. So for some reason in one of the lab, if you get any penalty, try to do good coding in the next lab so that you get a bonus mark to match this or clear out that. In a first case, don't ever try to be delayed because that's a discipline question. So you be disciplined to follow the timeline so that you never be in a situation so that you get the extra marks so that you can make up with the other sections of your marks. And when it comes to demo, yeah, I'll ask you guys to run through the code and I'll ask you to add some extra commands, change the algorithm or something in the feature space, and then I ask why this changes, something like that. But your code has to work. If your code run, then that's okay. If you even if you don't answer the extra questions, that's fine. If your code runs, then that's the expectation. So if you have any doubt and you want to ask any queries, you can email me. Please make sure the subject is ELE 888 because I do receive a couple of emails and then I don't want any of your emails to be missed. So if it's this subject, I filter it out and I give it a priority. So I don't want to miss any emails. So that's why please mention ELE 888 in your subject. And I don't have any graduate students, so yeah, don't forget this. And yeah, I enabled discussion board as well in the D2L. You guys can post any of your questions there as well because your question might be the question of the other student as well. So it might help the other students. And I strongly recommend you guys to form your own discussion platform. Being TA, we are not allowed to do that based on the policies. So, or else I would definitely do WhatsApp group or any kind of group because it's easy for us. Because this course basically requires you guys to discuss and come up, find out the answers, right? So if you work on your own, you might take longer time. And if you take longer time, you probably might not be in the timeline of the course. So that never should happen. Yeah, that's all when it comes to rules and expectations. Let me look at the questions. Oh yeah, I think the attendance is not mandatory for my labs. You can come and go at any time. I don't worry at all. You should be present when it comes to your demo. If you're not there, then probably you would receive 0 for demo. That's the only expectation. Then I don't really care whether you are here or not. If you do it by yourself, that's great. In fact, if I find out any students who is doing in that fashion, I definitely consider for a bonus point. I think I came there for the demo explanation, but oh yeah, I think you missed that point. Okay, I explained this. Yeah, so for example, you found a group with the other sections. They don't need to be present in your when it comes to your demo or your one-to-one question. For example, you have a group of 3 people. One is from section 1 and one other is from section 3 and the other is from section 9, let's say. So your group, your lab is always on Monday 5 to 6, right? So you need to be present on your time. So I test the other guys in your group during their lab time. So that did that answer your question? Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty flexible. Even if you want anything, you're always open to discuss. I'm here to help. Don't get scared. I know this course is a bit tough, but if you be proactive, I think you can do it. Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, I don't schedule. It's like you guys will be there. I'm planning to form a breakout rooms, so it's definitely within 1 hour. I don't extend it. So it's a breakout room. I actually pop into the room and then I'll ask. It's like that. So there's no schedule. It's like you need to present anywhere from 5 to 6 during the demo week. So yeah, there's no schedule. But I definitely try to inform you guys ahead of the time. For example, like if I'm testing one student one and then I'll say, okay, this guy will be the next, then I'll say that so the other guy can prepare a bit, something like that. Or you can be aware that I'm going to answer next, something like that. Will appreciate you for, yeah, I'll create a breakout room. The concept behind the breakout room is that I don't want the questions to be revealed then and there. But you guys can always go and discuss among yourself after the session, because that question might come in your midterm exam or in the on your final exam. Yeah, all submissions are per group, so there will be only one submission. So say a group consists of 2 students or 3 students. For 2 students or for 3 students, there's only one report, one set of code. So you guys will be running the same code. For example, three students, they'll be running the same code, right? Yeah, so it's like one submission per group. But when it comes to demo, it's the same code all 3 guys will be running. That's all. But the question I ask might not be the same. Not might, it definitely will not be the same. Yeah. Yeah, go on. I think you can ask any questions here. So you're all sure of the logistics? No, I think lab1 is not still released. Yeah. Yeah, so basically you need to, the point is you can create the group even after lab 1. The point is you should be in a plan to carry out the lab, so that I recommend you find a group before 25, because then you need to talk to your friends and their schedules and need to plan, right? So it's not like a hard requirement that if you don't form a group before 20, then no, we won't allow you to do the lab. It's not like that, but that's advisable. But if you can't find, because I understand that if you have on-campus labs, then it's most probably that we could meet the other students and talk to them, and right. So, but in the online, I understand it's not that easy. So what I do is, there's something. What's wrong? Oh, did I miss something? Oh, sorry, it's from my other meeting. I'm really sorry. Okay, so yeah, if you couldn't find any group, then what I suggest you guys is, so you can see the Excel sheet. Can you see my screen? Because in between I just stopped sharing. And okay, so yeah, if you couldn't find any in the bottom, I just gave a section to add your name so that I'll find you a group for you guys. And if that's the case, then be ready to work with the other students who you are not familiar with. Anyhow, that will be the case, right? When you join any research group or any industry team, then you have to form your good relation with the other teammates, and then you have to start working. So anyway, that's the case. So anyway, for all the students, it's all the common goal that you have to do the lab well, and basically you have to understand and learn the algorithms better so that you can apply it in the real world when you go to any research team or any industry use case. So everyone will work better. That's what my expectation is. So if you couldn't find any, you just enter your name here with your section. Then I'll try to find I'll try to form a group before 21 or 22, so that, and I'll share you the group number and the email of your team members, so that you guys can discuss among yourself before the lab 1, and then be on point to good terms and start working on your lab, right? Yeah, this spreadsheet is there in so that's there in the lab, this document, rules and expectation. If you it's there in the under lab group rules. Yeah, so yeah, also let's share the link. So yeah, that link is shared here as well, so you can go and update here. Yeah, so if you couldn't find any, don't get panicked. I'll be there to help you guys, so don't worry on that. For you guys, it's not the major task to find the group. The major task is to understand the algorithms and come up with the Matlab code. So any other doubts? Because you make sure you understand everything. Don't miss anything. So get it clear. So you're sure? All good? Okay, I think it's everyone are clear about the expectation and stuff. Okay, so let's get into lab 0. So allow me to launch a poll. I just want to understand the technical capability of the students in the lab. So can you see the poll? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Some students were emailing me that why Matlab, not Python. That's a debate. Actually, see, the course is mainly to understand the algorithms, because when it comes to the implementation, it's just a matter of language. When it comes to language, it's all the syntax, right? So basically, the point is idea is important rather than the language. You can express it in any language. The point is the listener should understand your language. That's the only case. So in this case, professor asked us to stick with Matlab because this is an undergrad course, and since this is an electrical and computer engineering course, so we don't teach advanced algorithms in the electricals. So, but we do use Matlab for some simulation and DSP stuff. So professor asked us to stick with Matlab. I actually was in favor to use Python. So when that's the instruction, I think it's good to follow. So don't worry about Matlab or Python. So one student, one is basically okay, I got it. So I was waiting for the one student. Okay, so this is actually a good class. I think everyone knows Matlab. So the 3 students. So can you guys see the poll result? Okay, I think you're seeing. Yeah, only 3 students. So for those students, what I recommend is there's something called I think I'll share the link as well. It won't take much time. I recommend you guys to go through this tutorial and understand and get familiar with yourself with Matlab by yourself. That's really worth putting effort. Basically, what it do is it will run through all Matlab basic commands and overall picture why Matlab and how Matlab. Even I never used the Matlab because I come from industry background, and even in my bachelor's, I used Matlab only for like signal processing and my digital signal processing. And then I never used Matlab any time in my life. So actually, I learned it for this lab. This is pretty easy. So probably it requires, for me, it took like 40 minutes to 1 hour to run through till basic requirement. From section 10, it starts to come up with a simple project. I stopped here. I learned to plotting the data. Anyway, I'll also do some project in this. Anyway, so the point is you'll come to know how to use the Matlab and why Matlab is, and what's the data structure, memory planning in the Matlab, and then how static variable and dynamic variable works in the Matlab, and how you can do the modular design. So you basically come to understand when you go through this tutorial. So the tutorial name is Matlab on ramp. Even I say for students, there is a machine learning on ramp as well. So I suggest you guys to go through this as well. These are all free for you guys as well, since we are all having a student license from Ryerson, right? So I recommend you guys to go through this and even deep learning on ramp if you guys require. Because I understand, because when you enroll in this course, basically you guys want to enter into AI realm, right? So it's all the set and subset of AI realm. But for the lab, you just have to understand Matlab on RAM. Just go through that tutorial, you'll get it. So when it comes to the lab 0, we basically do certain set of functionality when it comes to your intelligent system lab. So I expect you guys to go through. I I assume you guys have already installed Matlab in your system. Yeah, definitely this course is not to teach the programming, but I definitely give you a very good, very strong feedbacks when it comes to coding. But I don't try to reduce any marks when it comes to coding. But I give you definitely a good feedback, at least for some student who wants to get into industry and want to learn some coding. I'll definitely help you guys. Don't worry. So yeah, so installing the tools, IDE, compilers, whatever the software tools, that's also a part of your coding job, right? So you just have to learn how to install things. So you install the Matlab IDE on your computer, and I shared the link in one of the announcement, I guess. Yeah, in the part one, you just have to understand some standard function which helps in exploratory data analysis, which is EDA, famously called as EDA. So when you want to work as a data scientist, that's the fundamental stuff that every interviewer, even if you want to do any great project, you have to understand the data. And how do you understand the data? The first step is exploratory data analysis. Basically, you do analysis on the given data and then come up with the idea that what your data is actually giving the information, right? So to understand that, basically you do some statistical testing. Some statistical testing involves what's the max, what's the min, what's the standard deviation, and you need to plot some histogram, you need to plot some scatter plot to understand the feature space, like that, right? So yeah, one funny part which I come across with the Matlab syntax is they use very awkward syntax like E by E. They use it for identity matrix. When I looked at it, I understood as what E by E is what. Like that's very different standard style of naming. Anyway, so you'll have good surprises. In the second part, we go through the data type that's used in the Matlab. So in the Matlab, everything is considered as vectors and matrices, and definitely tensor is tensor is a 4D matrix, right? So it's a higher dimensional. I think for neural network, probably we might use tensors, I guess, but I'm not sure. But for your Navies and other labs, we definitely use the matrices. So when it comes to matrices, you need to be aware how to do the matrix transpose, matrix multiplication, element-wise matrix multiplication, matrix addition, element-wise matrix addition and subtraction, so on, so right, and how to create a identity matrix, diagonal matrix, matrix with zeros, matrix with unit matrix, something like that, right? So you just have to understand so that you get the commands for those in part two. And straight after that, we do some data analysis. That's what I told. We do exploratory data analysis, EDA. We find what's the min, what's the max, what's the standard deviation. This basically helps us to make the decisions, right? So we just have to understand what's what. And there are standard functions already. Beauty of Matlab is we don't have to import anything. It's all standard within the Matlab, and that's why we cannot write the cross-platform code on Matlab. That's why no one in the industry uses Matlab for their code deployments, because we can't do any cross-platform code. And yeah, when it comes to memory, they use something called workspace in the Matlab, where they keep tracking of the static and the dynamic memories, and you can load and you can clear off the memories. So we have given the commands to learn how to save, load, and clear the memory. You might have to need this in your lab. And mainly when it comes to machine learning, we have to make the decision based on the data, right? Feature space. So how do we do that? We use logical operators and control loop syntax, right? So which includes like greater, lesser, equal, not equal, something like that. So this is how the syntax for logical operators, and the people who know Python and C and other languages is almost similar but a bit different. Oh yeah, I was getting confused when it comes to vector and matrix index, because usually in any other language the index always starts from 0, but in this case the index always starts from 1. So yeah, I'm just trying against this. And then flow control statements, like we have if else, and the other overhead part is we need to end those control loops, right? So in any other languages, I don't see this is required because that's all cared by delimiters, such as semicolon, space limiter, control space, right? So in this case, we have to explicitly mention end to end the loop. So that's how the flow control statements in Matlab. And you need to understand in an abstract point of view to plot the feature space or to plot the decision space, right? So how to plot those and how to title the plot, how to add the X label, Y label, how to add the legend. Yeah, you can practice that from here. You probably might have to do some 3D plotting as well, but I don't think we need 3D plotting in our, oh yeah, in a neural network we need it because we have a data set with more features, more feature space. So yeah, I think 3D plot is also given here, yes. So mesh grid, you can use a mesh grid to instantiate the 3D plot and then plot it. And yeah, I think you get it in on ramp as well. There is a section allotted for plotting. Yeah, plotting the data. You will get it there as well. I think, yeah, and the next part is moduling your code. For example, in this case, they have given a simple example where in this case they are calculating only a mean and standard deviation. That might be used in any case. So they keep it as a generic module so that this module can be reused in any of the other software code as well, right? So you guys, if you keep things, if you push things like a generic function, then you may reuse those modules in your further labs as well. For example, like standard deviation, exploratory data analysis. Say you give a function and say this is what my data is, and give me so and so exploratory data analytics as a written sequence, and then you can do it for any data. So that will become a generic data. So basically, if you think in a way to do a generic coding where you have to save your time in the future, so that you have to keep reusing your data. So that's a good coding practice. So yeah, so you need to do that in Matlab as well. So if any student come up with a really good coding standards and following things very well, even if he or she couldn't do well in one aspect, then I definitely consider for a bonus point. But bonus point, when I say bonus point, it's only with the 30%, right? So midterm exam and final exam, you definitely have to do by yourself, and I don't have any influence there, right? So in the lab, even if something happens with your demo, or if you couldn't answer something in one-to-one discussion, but you have done a really good coding, and don't worry if you get it done by any other, and if I find it, it won't help you, right? So I know how to find out things whether really you have done it or anyone in your team have done it. It's easy to find out. But if you do it, definitely you get a good marks. Don't worry on that. I look forward. Major priority is to understand the algorithm, and second priority is to do very good coding. And the last part is, anyway, we are entering to AI, so we have to understand the data. First of all, to understand the data, we need to get the data. So where we can get the data, we have different platform, different forums to get the data. So one such app we use in our lab is UC Irvine's machine learning repository. Don't worry on this. We actually provide you the data as well when you release the lab. But you being interested, holding your curiosity, keep exploring the repositories like Google Dataset, UCR1, Kaggle, and so other dataset forums. Even some universities like I found actually University of New Brunswick. They actually maintain data as well, few data, especially the computer network section department. I mean, it's the Department of Computer Networks. Yeah, so like that. So keep exploring the data and try to do some analysis and understand the data. Try to come up with new solution, and while coming up with a new solution, see how the learned algorithms can help you to take some decision and come up with a creative solutions as well. And if things goes well, I think if you propose anything like that, I think we can work and publish something as well. So that's pretty much it for this lab. If you have any doubt, I think you can go ahead and shoot at me. I think if you are clear, and then even if you want to talk to any of your friends, I think you can unmute and talk. I'm allowing it only for group to form the group. If not, I think things are done for the day. I think you guys are good to leave if you want to, and if not, then ask me any question. That's fine. Yeah, feel free to use the chat box as well. Don't worry. And if you want me to create a breakout room, I can create and add you in the breakout room so you guys can talk to each other. So any feedback or anything that you want to ask when it comes to marking or anything? And I definitely stress you guys have to start immediately once the lab content are released, or else it will be quite stressful at the last moment. If you're doing it every day at least like 30 minutes to 60 minutes, then things should be good. Anyway, you get the code, I think, even in the online if you search for any code, right? So that's not the point. The point is to understand the algorithm. That's the point. So I'm not sure whether you guys can talk to other in private chat. So I just want to know what's the expectation of you guys, like what you're expecting from a lab, or do we need to improve the standards, or like how to reduce something? All right, so okay. Okay, I think everyone has said it. Sure, go on. Yep. What? I didn't understand it. What? I didn't understand your question. Is that question for me or? Oh no, it's just an example. Don't worry on that. We will give you the. Oh no worries. Take your time. Don't worry at all. It's okay. You can split it in different messages. That's not the point. So the data set that I've given in we have given in part 4 is just to get you familiar with how to find the data set and how to understand the data set and what you have to look when you look at the new data set. This we may use in the lab, we may not use. I think we use Iris one. I don't know, Iris, yeah. I think we use it for naive base in the lab one. But don't worry on that. We will give you the data set as well. You don't have to download anything from anywhere. If there is anything like that, we definitely mention it in the instruction. If it's not mentioned, don't worry, you will get a grace marks. Okay, no worries. Yeah, I'm sorry that I couldn't execute and show each Matlab commands because that's not the expectation in the lab because this is not a coding based course, right? Is you just have to understand the theory, the algorithm, because these algorithms are common, right? You can implement it in any of the language. So you're sure when it comes to the logistics of the course, like how to do the demo and things like that? Don't get it clear because that's important. Midterm, you have like midterm, lab, and final. I think final is 40%, midterm is 30%, and lab is 30%. So I suggest you guys to get 30% in the lab, definitely, because midterm and final exams, it's on you, right? So if you study well, I think you can get it. But in lab, I can help as well. So if you show some proactiveness and good coding skills and being curious about things going on in the machine learning world, I can really push. No worries in that. So that's the reason you should definitely get 30 out of 30 in lab. Okay, so there's 2 more minutes left. You guys have anything to ask, or is it okay if I close? I mean, if I end the meeting, or if you have any, if you want more time to discuss among yourself, let me know. I'll leave the meeting open. Okay, so we are done for the day. All the best. I'll stop the meeting.